We're back to the Total Tutor Show, powered by the Beach Lifestyle Celebrity segment. And I want to welcome somebody that's been on a little bit of a hiatus, and I'm so excited we'll be having him more in the summer again. My co-host, the main man, Simply G, GJ Reynolds, simplyg.com. GJ, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and I'm really excited about today's show. And, you know, if I'm going to come back off a hiatus, you might as well start with the best, and today we got one of the best, and I'm pretty excited about that. And, you know, I'd say let's just jump right into it, Neil. So, you know, I'll just start the introduction. Our guest today is he's an investor, he's a businessman, he's a self-help author. He's written over 15 books. I think there's, you know, and each book has. I have every one of his books, including his new book that he's going to talk about. He's a motivational speaker. He's a financial literacy activist, and he's had impact on me, and he doesn't even know it. And most people know him from the series that he's written, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Please welcome to the show, Robert Kiyosaki. How are you doing, Robert?
Well, thank you. That's a great introduction. I appreciate it.
Yeah, he is the man for introductions. I said, GJ, you go ahead and introduce him, and I'll go ahead and start with certain questions. Have we missed anything about you, Robert, for background for our audience that might not know who you are, being the New York Times best-selling author and so well-known in certain areas?
You did pretty good, yeah. Basically, I grew up in Hawaii, and then that Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a story about my two dads. My real dad was head of education for the state of Hawaii, a really smart guy, PhD and all that. And he was my poor dad, though, because we don't teach much about money at school. And my rich dad was my best friend's father, and that's where the story comes from. So I grew up in Hawaii having these two fathers, one rich, one poor, and they say very different things about money.
Well, absolutely, and I agree. A lot of times, again, that's what we're going to be talking about today is financial literacy in so many ways, and a lot of people who are educated never know how to utilize money in the correct way. They use money in the wrong way. They're very well educated, but yet when it comes to finances, they don't understand. And G, you've run into a lot of those people, haven't you, G?
Right.
Well, I run into it all the time, and obviously, you know, that's one of the great things that, you know, Robert's done is that he's, you know, taught and written in a very simple way for people to understand and apply it. And most people are never taught how to be successful or taught how to be responsible with their money. So, you know, obviously, we got, you know, your new book, Robert, you know, why A students work for C students. I'm a C student, and I'm proud of it. And the B students work for the government. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about your book, which came out recently, and how it's doing, and so a little bit more about it. And one thing before you do that, I've taught many times the cash flow quadrant, and it's been a very good tool for me in my own life, and it's been a great tool for impacting other people without your knowledge. So thanks for sharing it, and thanks for teaching me, and I'm proud to say it works very well.
Well, thank you very much. Again, I don't need to do an interview. You guys can carry on. I can't praise myself that well because that wouldn't be fine. That wouldn't be kosher. So anyway, thank you.
Yeah. So go ahead, G.
So you're welcome, and yeah, it's one thing for us to promote you. It's another thing when you do it yourself. It's bragging. So
yeah.
So. Well, it's all well deserved. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about your current book and the impact of it, and you know, so our audience can learn more about it, and also where they can also go and find it and buy it.
Well, thank you. Why A students work for C students and B students work for the government comes out of my concern for people who are parents with kids who are concerned about their kids' education, but also for young people maybe still in college. So this is that age bracket. Because as you know, the world is very, very different. The world is changing. So I'm very pro-education, but our school system is not changing. And because it's not changing, it's actually creating and pumping out more and more poor people who come out with this entitlement attitude. The government owes us a living. And that's worldwide, not just the U.S. And that really concerns me because what's going to bring down America in the next 2 or 3 years is not communism or terrorism. It's going to be entitlement.
I agree. And
it's all the old guys my age who will say, "Hey, where's my money?"
Exactly. And Neil and I had this. Neil and I have a staff of people, and we're talking about, sometimes there's this entitlement, and we're like, okay, where's this entitlement come from? And you hit it right on the head that it comes from the early ages of school, and what we see on TV, and so obviously your book addresses that. So why don't you share a little bit more about the book? And obviously I'm dominating this this interview, Neil. So I apologize, Neil.
No, that's fine. I'm interested in learning from both of you. You guys are all great entrepreneurs, and I'm just sitting and listening. So go ahead. Tell us about the book. One thing I wanted to say, Robert, is financial literacy is so important, and it's important to teach children about money and something that our schools are missing, and that's one reason you wrote the book, right, Robert?
Well, if you look at the real world, because school is not real world, and that's my poor dad, the PhD, And my rich dad always said to me, he says, you go to the bank, and the banker doesn't ask you for your report card. Your banker asks you for your financial statement. Bankers don't care if you went to Harvard or flopped school. They don't really care. They want to see your financials because your financials show your financial intelligence, your financial IQ. And 99.99% of kids coming out of high school have no idea what a financial statement is. And, I talk to school teachers and say, yeah, we're teaching them to balance checkbooks. I said, oh, my God, are you guys still in the primitive? You're still dragging knuckles somewhere? I'm just going, where are you guys? And the problem is a school teacher has no idea what a financial statement is. And that's where it kind of begins. So if you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and your Cash Flow Quadrant, and you played my cash flow game, it's all about the financial statement because that's your report card when you grow up. And as you know, we're in severe financial trouble today, not because, it's because our leaders are screwed up also. You look at, I'm not Republican or Democrat, but our budgets are shot. I know the stock market is up. It's only because Bernanke is printing trillions of dollars. So we're going to crash again in about 2 years, and then it's going to be hell to pay once again, and your kids are the ones that are going to pay for it. As you know, the rich get richer. That's why I'm saying there's no financial crisis, but the poor middle class get wiped out. So I wrote why A students work for C students, and B students work for the government, is because we have a bunch of idiots running the government. And if you're an idiot like them, then you're going to get wiped out with them. Plain and simple. That's all I'm saying. So I'd rather take care of myself than hope that Mr. Obama or if it was Romney, I didn't really care who they were. I don't want them to take care of me. I'll take care of myself. Thank you.
All right, GJ, your response to that.
Well, I agree wholeheartedly, and I teach that you have to be responsible, especially in today's economic times, and we're in I call it the false market.
Very false.
And at some point, you can only pump in so much falsity, and as a business owner, as you know, if we ran our business the way the government's running the government, we would be bankrupt and we'd be, having to start over, and unfortunately, I see that happening. So everything you're saying, I agree wholeheartedly, and unfortunately, it's a sad truth. So, obviously, education and teaching people how to, maneuver in these choppy waters and go, and it isn't happening in the schools. So we definitely have to do it outside the schools, and unfortunately, how many people actually go and search out that information? All the great information you've written about over the years. That's why I was really excited about this interview because it's a great platform to teaching people, and that's really what we're all about: is teaching education of how to empower yourself and be responsible for yourself. And when you're empowering yourself, you're able to empower others. And
right, because the schools are not going to teach your kids. I wrote why A students work for C students are for parents who actually are proactive in their kids' financial education, which most parents aren't. And I wrote it for kids in college, because they're coming out to a tougher world than I ever did. I'm a baby boomer. So the kids coming out of school today, they're get a high-paying job. I said, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. You know what I mean? So that's why I wrote the book, is if you're really concerned about education, then Why A Students Work for C Students is a very important book. Because it's about education.
So where can we go and find information about your book? And obviously, your personal website as well.
Right. Well, the book's at, obviously Amazon.com, but most bookstores and all that. And like I said, I'm very, very concerned because I think we're going down in a couple of years. And if we're not prepared for it, what the good news is, you have a couple of years. You can do things. And Mr. Bernanke right now, as you know, is just printing trillions of 85 billion a month or something. The Japanese just started it. And next, the Europeans are going to start printing money in mass. And if you sit there and hope Mr. Obama's going to save you, he's not. I mean, I'm not Republican or Democrat, but he can't. It's impossible. This has gone. What we are doing today has been repeated through history from the time of the Romans. And that's why I say we don't learn anything about money at school. This baby is going down because the dollar is going down. And that's what people have to be aware of.
Well, absolutely, Robert. Right. And I think, how can we teach our kids this early to make sure they understand this? It's credit cards. Let's keep running up bills, and the government will bail us out. So how are there ways that in this book it could teach parents how to teach their kids this, and also administrators and teachers to teach their kids?
Don't waste your time, man. Our school system is corrupt. That's all I want. The teachers aren't like my poor dad. They're not bad people, but they really don't know anything about money. They'll be asking me about childbirth. I don't know anything about that, So all I'm saying here is this. I wrote Why A Students Work for C Students very simply. My rich dad started teaching me about money when I was 9 years old playing Monopoly. We all know the formula, 4 green houses, 1 red hotel. And today, that's all I do is I play Monopoly in real life. You don't have to play Monopoly. There's millions of ways you can get rich. That kid who just sold his business to Yahoo or something for $1 billion. He's a high school dropout. His lack of education is killing him. So there's more opportunity. There's more opportunity than ever before. Except that all I'm saying is that without financial education in schools, your kids are going to come out looking for a job, trying to save money when the government's printing millions of dollars, billions and trillions of dollars. And then you're going to try and get out of debt when the rich are using debt. See, debt is the most powerful leverage there is, except people don't know how to use it. So everything they teach you in school is the stuff my poor dad taught me. And I would be a poor man if I followed his advice, which was get a job, work hard, save money, get out of debt, buy a house, and put my money in mutual funds. I'd be broke today, and that's really bad advice. There's better advice is all I'm saying, and I'm very concerned. I think we're more than a financial crisis. We're an education crisis.
Well, and I agree with the education crisis. You could come on my show, Robert, to talk about that definitely another time. GJ, response again, because it seems like I'm interviewing 2 entrepreneurs that see the direction our financial country's going. Young people today, and not understanding money. It's a very, very difficult problem, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it's out of control, as Robert has articulated, and now it's like the inevitable is the inevitable. So the key is, what do we do in the meantime? And as Robert said, there's plenty of ways to be smart and create wealth and create. If we do it the way we're being taught in schools and through our government, then that's really the wrong path. So you really got to go the entrepreneurial way and think like an entrepreneur. And unfortunately, most people are never taught how to think like an entrepreneur, as we know. I've always thought a little different, and I know entrepreneurs think a little different and think outside the box. And instead of worrying about the grade, let's worry about the result. And that's really what I hear, the C students do. So it goes back to, what do we do? What would be 3 steps that you'd recommend, Robert, to our listening audience that they can do right now to move forward?
Well, step one, obviously, I buy my book. And step two, at the end of every chapter, there are action steps a parent can do or a young person can do to improve their financial IQ. And number three is you got to think differently. I mean, if you're following the instructions of go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, get out of debt, invest for the long term in a 401k, you're going to get hammered. They're going to get frickin' hammered. And that's all I'm saying. It's going to be around 2016 or 2017. So you have time to take action right now. All I'm saying is this, is that, what the guy Yogi Berra, the famous New York Yankee, said, it's deja vu all over again. Sports fans, it is deja vu all over again. They're doing exactly the same thing that caused the economy to crash in 2002, 2007, and now it's going to be 2016. And so you can make money when markets crash. In fact, you make more money when markets crash. But if you're kind of buying, holding, and praying like they tell you to do, you'll probably get wiped out. So that's why I start teaching my kids early to start not being a sheep going, because you know what happens to sheep. Anyway, that's my advice.
Okay, Robert. Again, information by where we can purchase the book and learn more about you.
Well, it's Amazon.com. There's a lot of them. Every bookstore has it. And it's why A students work for C students. And it's by Robert Kiyosaki. It's a Rich Dad series of books. And it's about time. If you don't start teaching your kids to be rich, they're going to join the middle class. And, both Obama and Romney said they're going to save the middle class. And when politicians promise to save you, you better stand up, bend over, and kiss it goodbye. The good news is it's when markets crash, that's when you really get rich. And that's so counterintuitive to what people say. And the last thing I'll say is your banker has never asked you for your report card. Your banker wants to see your financial statement. And most people leave school, A students included, they don't know what a financial statement is. They're out there looking for a job working for some rich guy. That's nuts.
Understand completely, Robert. And last question, and GJ will ask this question because this is what we do. Anyone that comes on the show, GJ, give him the magic question and hear what he has to say.
Well, we always the magic question we always ask is, what is your 90-day challenge goal? So with everything that's going on in your life, what's your focus for the next 90 days?
Well, I'm going to go to Africa and have a good time. That's it, man. Look, if you have more money coming in than money is going out, whether you work or not, then you can get on with life. It's called freedom. And, Lincoln set the slaves free, and now I'm trying to set the employees free.
Well, I like this, Robert. All right.
I'm going to have a good time for the next 90 days.
Well, you might be seeing my in-laws. They're going to Africa in July, so you might run into them.
I'll be in Johannesburg. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling, Robert, and we'll stay in touch, okay?
Right. Thanks for the time, you guys. Good
All right,
luck
take care. Okay, bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Robert.
Bye-bye. You're listening to the Total Tutor Show, powered by the Beach Lifestyle Celebrity segment. We'll be back in just a moment.